Hey everyone, welcome to the Leadership Locker. My name is Rich Cardona, and on this podcast, we dig through the lessons of today's most exceptional leaders to help you break through your barriers. If you're trying to progress your career, if you are trying to accelerate your entrepreneurial journey, which I know you all are, if you're looking to have a smoother transition out of the military because it is incredibly difficult, then you're in the right place. My guests and I are going to give you the tools and the resources to accelerate your curve, help you surge, and just crush it. So here we go. Shaneé, welcome to the Leadership Locker. If you could tell everyone your full name and then what you do, and then we are going to get right into some good stuff for some veterans.
So my name is Shaneé Moret, and I help healthcare companies grow through creative strategies.
All right, and we just talked about it off camera, and I said, I want to talk about something that you want to talk about, and you said, this is something I haven't talked about much, and you took me through a quick journey, and it started with being in and out of hospitals for a lot of your young life and childhood.
Right.
Can you talk about that, and then we could get to how that ties into what you do now?
Yes, I'm actually a stage 4 bilateral Wilms tumor cancer survivor, which means that basically both of my kidneys were just ridden with cancer. For about 10 years, I grew up in and out of a hospital in Miami. And I really think that it molded me to have a passion for healthcare and understand it from a patient's side of things. So I obviously tied into what I do now. I feel almost indebted to the physicians and to the pharmaceuticals and to the patient care models that saved my life. I owe my life to that. Mm-hmm. So my niche, it just evolved that where I'm a good copywriter and I have these innovative strategies, and then I implement that to my passion for healthcare, and it has just worked out beautifully. And I think that it's important for veterans to understand that our scars, we could sometimes use them as a strength to build our story and then to find our niche.
I completely agree. I want to go back really quick to, you felt indebted and you wanted to do something about it. When was the first time where you said to yourself, I am explicitly going to focus on trying to do something in this industry, because you were a child, and then you're growing up, and there's a self-aware moment that usually happens in us when you're like, this is what I'm going to do. And that's a very important moment. But when was that for you, and what was it like?
So it was actually after my daughter was born. I have a 2.5-year-old. So after she was born, she had a stint in the hospital because she was born premature. And I had always been torn between going to medical school because I knew I wanted to do something in healthcare, or being a writer because that was my passion. And I was just graduating pre-med, and I was like, okay, I don't want to work at this full-time job anymore. Let me just see if it works out with me freelance writing. And that's really where I dedicated myself to healthcare copywriting, and it just took off from there.
Wow. That's but that's not typical.
No, it's not typical. It took a lot of, I don't want to say in Spanish cojones, but it took a lot of courage, you know, because I had a premature daughter and I was a single mother, and it was make it or break it. If I didn't make it, I was just going to have to go find another full-time job.
Exactly. And I think my first kind of stint in entrepreneurship last year, I met this famous photographer named Peter McKinnon, and he says, after I really tasted and had a little bit of success in entrepreneurship, he's like, I said to myself, I could never work for anyone again. And I completely understand. So that was your own sample size proof for you that you could do this. And I think writing, it's especially hard in writing, I think, to kind of really make it. But how did that evolve into media? And then now how you talk about it to inbound leads and how effective video is. But how did that transcend?
Right. So that was probably around July of last year. No, it was probably July of the previous year, but I hadn't even jumped onto LinkedIn until late last year, maybe August. And then I had some freelance copywriting contracts, but when I hopped on video in November, it just catapulted. And
I think I remember your first video too.
Yeah, I was just hi, my name is Shaneé, and it's just the contracts just started getting bigger and bigger, but the opportunities if the opportunity presents itself and you continuously deliver, you know, even if you make some mistakes along the way, you're just going to keep expanding. And that's how it's been.
When you said the contracts are getting bigger, like, what do you mean by that?
So we just signed a contract for 9 rural hospitals.
Like, and tell me how that happened. So you're making videos and talking about, you know, so you market media.
Right.
So,
So
I'm sorry, you market medical
yeah.
using media.
Yeah, but it's actually incredible because I don't really talk about what I do in my videos.
Yeah, that's why I'm
I've optimized my profile so well that the video content that I do produce, it just gets a bunch of visibility. It creates a bigger funnel. So when the prospects do come, my optimized profile really just attracts them, and then they ask, I mean, it's normal now for us to get 6-figure plus leads.
This is fantastic.
Just through LinkedIn, and this is going to be covered in the thing. So it's like, anybody can do it. You know, I just hopped on video, and I hopped on video with an iPhone, nothing fancy. When I started doing video, it was just something very different than a lot of the other women that were on video on LinkedIn. I've been told that like they were more natural. You know, sometimes my hair was crazy, sometimes I was with my baby, but that's just who I was. Yes. You know, I didn't prep myself for the camera, and that just attracted even more visibility.
My motto at Rich Cardona Media is you can only realize your value if you're visible, and the best way to be visible right now is through video.
Absolutely, 100%.
That I could connect with you, even if it's virtual, I could probably still feel a better connection than reading one of your writing pieces or your copy, right? And then that's why I tried to turn the virtual connections into face-to-face connections, because it's that much better. So you said you started with an iPhone, and a lot of people are very reluctant, but why were you unafraid to just do this? Like, there's something in there, right? It's not just like, here we go. Like, what is it?
I mean, I was willing to just see what happened if I did video. Like in my first video, like I wasn't scared of like it doing poorly, I guess. If it got 1 like, it got 1 like. And that's something about us at Men's Tech Media, even Courtney and Joy, like we're just always testing and adapting, because content is like kind of like an ocean, and just you always have to change it based on what your audience wants. So I wasn't afraid, and then I kind of just thought it was a coincidence. Like the first video got like 5,000 views, and I was like, oh, that's just because they're supporting my first video. But by the 4th video, it kept doing well, and I was like, well, why? So I started asking people. And I was like, and they're like, oh, it's because what you're saying, like in the videos. And I'm like, okay. So I just kept doing it, and it's really compound consistency and learning along the way.
Do you ever feel, and I've seen what you do, I've seen what Richard does, Shay, and you know, I try and do a lot, and I try not to look at views, but there's definitely like, oh, what did I do wrong there? Right. Like what happened there that was this much, or that no one really engaged? Was there not a call to action, or I don't know what? Do you ever feel like you need to be constantly adjusting? I know you mentioned that it's an ocean, but you know, do you ever deviate at all, do you feel like, or you just really try and be like, I gotta stay me? Because I know that's something for a lot of people.
Oh no, like I'm just me to a fault, like in person, in video, like even doing business, like who we choose to do business with, like at this point, you know, it's like who we choose to do business with, and like, I don't deviate from who I am to get more visibility. I just study what will bring the most value to people, and let's say there's like 10 topics, and I'll just choose the one that's most close to what I represent.
Yeah. So this is a big one. A lot of people, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, whatever, they're like, here's get your content calendar. You know, I got live recently, and I'm just like, I'm just saying whatever the hell I want if I'm waiting for an airplane, you know, and some people are like, oh yeah, I kind of drifted, and I kind of drifted watching in minute 7. I'm like, look, like I don't have a content calendar.
Yeah, neither do I.
Okay, yeah. So do you think that aids you because, you know, you're just kind of unflinchingly honest about whatever it is you want to talk about at that moment?
Listen, everybody like has their own medium, right? So Courtney is my business partner, and she doesn't feel comfortable on video. Like she's getting more comfortable, but it's not like her preferred medium. So just if she's saying one thing and I'm saying the same thing, people may resonate with me more just because I'm more comfortable in front of the camera. But I don't have a content calendar, but at the same time, I'm really aware of what I'm learning as I go through life. even in an Uber or in a meeting, like I'll jot like a video idea down and then just take that like 3 blurb idea and then just run with it. And it's actually crazy because the videos that I think were going to do the most poorly have actually done the best.
That's so funny. I know exactly what you mean.
Right?
It's like that?
It's like, okay, like that's interesting.
The more time you spend on it, it's probably not as good as you think it's gonna do.
Yeah, just run with it, and like you just learn along the way, and listen to the audience, because this is one thing about content creators. They go in and they're like, oh, I'm an amazing content creator. But I feel like engagement really determines that at the end of the day.
I agree.
Like you could say you're an amazing marketer, content creator, but unless you have social proof of that in this day and age, nobody's gonna believe you.
I agree.
Okay, so if you're not getting the engagement that you want, you gotta change things up. And that's something that like me and my team, we're not afraid to change things up like continuously.
Yeah, you have to be fluid. I completely understand.
And I never think I'm the best. Like I have so much to learn, and I'm just like helping others learn along the way.
Yeah. Last question is for MedSnake Media. Like, what is the ultimate goal, and where do you guys see it evolving and you evolving your visibility, and use of the platform in the best possible way?
So for MedSnake Media, we want to service like 100 hospitals within the next 24 months. And like with our work ethic, I know that we can do that right now. We have a lot of long-term care facilities, small hospitals, so on and so forth. But that has been, like I have a chart in my thing, like our financial and like opportunity growth is exactly parallel to our social growth on LinkedIn. Like you'll see how similar the charts look. It almost looks like they're twins.
Were things accelerated once you saw, like, were your projections versus like, oh shit, like this is what it really looks like?
Yeah, like I mean, once we started like releasing video and we started getting inbound interest from those videos, like I was like, okay, like I'm going to obviously do more. Like,
yeah. This is it.
Yeah, I was sold.
I love it. So, well, thank you for that. And now my very last question is, you mentioned before and off camera as well that your story is very much a part of what you're doing and why you're doing it. What would you advise people who try and kind of angle that a little bit? They're not necessarily using their story and they're going for low-hanging fruit and an opportunity, but it's not necessarily something they're like lived or have felt deeply. How bad could it go necessarily?
I feel like people really need to embrace their darkness in a way, or their scars. Like people are afraid to say, okay, like I've come from a broken family, or I'm a single parent, or I had a drug, like none of these are, like some of these are me, but just examples: drug addiction, broken family, single parent, let's say having been to prison, like whatever. A lot of people, they like mask that and then they blend into the crowd. If you learn to embrace that vulnerability without being like almost too revealing, people will remember you. So, on LinkedIn, they're like, oh, that's the girl that's a cancer survivor. She does marketing, and it's like a drip almost. So you have to differentiate yourself, and the number one way to do so is to know yourself and to embrace your darkness.
Do you feel like you can spot bullshit?
Oh, 100%. Like, yes, 100%.
And that probably motivates you to stay exactly how you are. So,
yeah, 100%.
Well, thank you so much for being on the Leadership Locker. I'm sure that a lot of the community will definitely gain value from this, and look forward to seeing what the three of you collaborate tonight, and this should be incredible. And if you're not following her, Shaneé Moret on LinkedIn, and are you on any other social platforms that we need to be following you?
Yeah, Instagram a little bit, but honestly, right now it's just like LinkedIn.
Okay. Well, let me know if I can help you get to 24 hospitals. So.
All right. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Leadership Locker. For more about us, how we can serve you, and for other episodes, please visit richcardonamedia.com/podcast. If you liked this episode a lot or little, Please don't forget to subscribe so that way my guests and I can continue to deliver some heat and get you the knowledge that you want. Don't miss an episode. And please join our Facebook group so you get much more exclusive content. Take care.